Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be taking assembly today as Mr. Blomfield has had to go off site. I'll just commence today by asking Ms. Stowe to lead us in prayer and the acknowledgement of country.
Good afternoon, Delany College. We'll just take a moment to remember that we are always in the holy presence of our Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Today, as part of our prayer, we just recall that on Friday evening, we bid farewell to our Year 12 graduates. And in that, they left the long tradition of their education at Delany, as well as the tradition of the Patrician Brothers, which is embedded into every aspect of our school. And so today, as we begin our prayer, we pay respect and acknowledge the Patrician Brothers who have established the school and come before us. And on that note, we also acknowledge that we do walk on sacred ground, the ground of the Darug people who have cared and lived on this land for thousands of years before us. And in that, we also commit ourselves to reconciliation with those who are present of Indigenous heritage and all future and emerging leaders. With our prayer today, we think back to our Year 12 graduation, and I thought that today we would share with you the Irish blessing which we bestow upon our graduates as they exit the college. So this Irish blessing begins like this. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face today. And may the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Just stop sharing.
In prayer and recalling the last line of that Irish blessing, we also bring to mind the words of Isaiah, who said that the Lord has carved us into the palm of his hand and that he will never forget us. And with that, we just pray for our own intentions where we may need God's help in our lives. And we also pray for those vulnerable people in our world who may also need God to hold them in their hands at this present point in time. St. Patrick,
Pray for us.
in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Stowe. So let's just take a minute after that prayer just to reflect. We're dedicating today's assembly to the Year 12s of 2020. We were very fortunate last Friday to be able to hold an assembly and a graduation that allowed their parents to attend. It was quite a different flow to the end of the year for us. Obviously, COVID had a significant impact on how we could hold that ceremony, and it did change dates several times and it changed format. But fortunately enough, we were able to invite parents along to be part of that. So we will dedicate today's assembly to the class of 2020. I will take the opportunity just to read part of the speech that I delivered on that night for the students, because it's very important for you as young aspiring students to hear that message and understand how that journey culminates and how quickly that comes about. And particularly talking to students in year 9 and 10 that think graduation is a long way away. But when we spoke and reflected with the seniors of 2020, it was one of the common reflections they had is how quickly it went, and what they had thought had been a long way away came very, very quickly. So we might just start by sharing some images. We'll just pause there in that last image, and one of the joys of that evening is looking at the parents or the caregivers or that significant person that has partnered with the students on their journeys. As I said, it represents 13 years of education. It all seems like coming to a moment in time, but it does really represent the efforts of every person that has worked or taught you or helped guide you through that process. And we do focus on the end point, but as I said to the students, it's really, really about the journey. Just before I read the last part of the speech where I was addressing the students, I'd just like to say a thank you to all the staff, to the Year 12 mentor teachers, to Ms. Stowe, Ms. Geome, to Ms. Cook, to Ms. Horsley, Mr. Blomfield, and all the other staff, Mr. Simage, Mr. Jaya, who all participated in the night, provided music and assistance. As you would appreciate, these events take a lot of planning, a lot of work. They're over in a few hours, and then all the packing up begins. And this year it's been significantly different because we've had one event after another. I'll speak a little bit later about the Year 11 retreat. In this week, we then move straight into the Year 12 formal on Friday night, which will be a magnificent evening. So it is a very busy time of year with all those events happening on top of all the other things that happen at school. So just to indulge the last part of the speech, I did give to the Year 12s. So if you can just close your eyes and listen, imagine that you're at the ceremony, maybe one of those photos was familiar to you, saw a family member in there or a friend, and just think about their journey that has now come to an end and they go off into the future. So young men and women, we have come together to celebrate you and your achievements. They are substantial and you are to be congratulated. Yes, you have made it. You have journeyed together through one of the most challenging years of your life. It is one of the most challenging years in human history, and yet you have persevered. A normal response would be to say, it is what it is. However, your response has been, it is what we make it, and you have done that with honour. Fire, flood, pandemic did not stop you. You have shown that you're capable, you have shown what you're capable of and how you can respond to adversity. Each in your own way, each with your own gifts and talents. You have made a difference. And you have embodied passion, pride, and persistence. So well done. This week was NAIDOC week, and it seems fitting that we celebrate graduation at this time. As Australians, we are proud of our heritage and recognise that the First Nations people have occupied and cared for this continent for over 65,000 years. We are all spiritually and culturally connected to this country. First Nations, first, second, third or fourth generation immigrants, this is our home. We are spiritually and culturally connected as members of the Delany College community, and through our faith and our patrician heritage. As you graduate today, this will always be part of who you are. Delany College is proud of its diversity, the uniqueness of each individual, and the culture and experience you have brought to this place. You will be missed. You have left a unique legacy as a Year 12 cohort that made it through COVID. You have learned many things on your journey, but most importantly, as you stand at the end of the chapter today, being your graduation, you have learned that life is not about the destination, but more about the journey. What is memorable about the journey is who you shared it with, those people who nourished you, supported you, celebrated with you, and carried you when you were most in need. There are those that challenged you when you didn't want to be challenged, those that pushed you out of your comfort zones, those that were patient when you were impatient, those that believed in you when maybe you had doubts. Many of those people are here with you today, sitting alongside you. We are so happy we could come together to celebrate this milestone. I ask in your own time to seek out and thank those people that have helped you here today. Finally, it has been a privilege to be your principal this year. But as your principal, I'll ask one more thing of you today. When you leave, seek to be the best you can be. Your education is merely a cornerstone upon which you will build the rest of your life. We will take pride in your success. Remember who you are. Go forth and be love, servant, and hope for others. Go forth, stretch out your spirits to new horizons. Thank you and God bless. And I wanted to share that with the college community today because usually our tradition at schools is to farewell our graduates together. And unfortunately, we did not get the opportunity this year. But it's also good for you to reflect where you are. If you're a Year 7 student in Year 8, or you're about to make that move into senior schooling next year as a Year 10 student. For those Year 9 students that are really looking to up the game for next year in terms of their performance, it's important for you to reflect on where you want to be when you sit being congratulated at your graduation, what you want to have achieved. It was a great moment as Mr. Blomfield read out the award winners, and people stood up and were celebrated by their peers becoming first, second or third in a course, or for receiving major service awards or leadership awards. These opportunities are here for all of you, and you start today working towards achieving that success. It doesn't start in the last week of Year 12, it doesn't start when the HSC starts. That success starts today. So very important that you take the opportunities, that you dream and aspire to what you want to achieve, and that you make sure that you are on your pathway to success. So thank you for listening. I hope some of those things there resonated with you, that make you think about what you can do as an individual, firstly to share your gifts with the community, and secondly to achieve your personal level of success. I'm just going to ask Ms. Stowe to come and just talk about our minis and our Christmas appeal.
Hello again, Delany College. So I want to speak to you about two things today. The first being the St. Vincent de Paul Christmas Appeal. And before I tell you a little bit more about the appeal, I'd just like to offer a huge congratulations for the $1,000 that we've raised so far due to some of the mufti days that we've had at the college, which will go directly towards our St. Vincent de Paul Christmas Appeal. I also want to applaud the generosity of spirit of the people who have already contributed to our Christmas hampers. It's a bit of a tradition at Delany College that we provide these hampers to those who just need that little bit of extra help during Christmas time. Mr. Easton, in his speech to Year 12s, alluded to the effects of COVID. And for some of our most vulnerable families, some whom live amongst us in our own communities, COVID has affected them in ways which have been really difficult during this time. And in the lead up to Christmas, these are times where these vulnerable people really need our extra help. So the way that we can do that is to provide as much as we can for these St. Vincent de Paul Christmas hampers. So there needs to be non-perishable goods, and each mentor group has a basket. You have a family that you've been assigned, and we really want you to think of that family as someone whom you can bring the joy of Christmas to by filling your hamper with things that you think that they would enjoy. And it's such a moving moment at the Christmas liturgy every year when we parade those hampers to the front, and we can showcase to our Delany College community the generosity of spirit of our students and staff members. So I really encourage you to give as generously as you can to the St. Vincent de Paul Christmas Appeal. The second thing I just wanted to briefly mention was the social justice forums that we have launched as part of Term 4. The first one being Fill Your Cup, which happens at 8:10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning down at the Coffee Cup. And anyone is welcome to attend that morning. And we've had some great success, some great discussion, and some great attendance at those mornings thus far. We've had some wonderful discussion about topics such as racism, such as sexism, such as bullying, all things that affect individuals in our own community, but more broadly affect, again, people on the margins in our world. And so I encourage you to come along, bring your keep cup along. You can get a free cup of hot chocolate, and we can sit down and discuss some of those issues that are really important to members of our community. And if you're really engaged in that discussion on a Tuesday morning, in one of the days following, we have the feed, which is where we come together for a shared lunch meal and we delve a little bit deeper into some of those social justice topics that have been discussed. So that's just 2 reminders from me. The first is the St. Vincent de Paul Christmas Appeal. Please bring what you can. And the second is to come along to our Social Justice Forum, fill your cup. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stowe. Just going to around the grounds at the moment. I'm just going to invite Mrs. Lennon to come and speak to you about e-sport. As you know, with our Year 7 to 10 sports program we've reintroduced, a big part of that program has been esports. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Lennon just in advance of all the work that's gone into that, and a particular number of students that have really taken on leadership in establishing and helping set up those afternoons so they run smoothly. If you go down into the DTC2 space on a Thursday afternoon, you'll see a hive of activity, but that starts at the beginning of lunch with setting up facilities so everyone can participate and have a fun afternoon. And as part of the overall sports program, it provides a really good point of connection. So it's been outstanding work, and we actually had some prize winners from term 3 because we actually run a competition within that envelope of that afternoon activity as well. So I asked them to come forward and present some prizes and just to talk a little bit about what they do.
Thank you, sir. So as Mr. Easton mentioned, we kickstarted our esports. We kickstarted esports last term at the beginning, and as part of that, we ran a little bit of a competition. Our competition was basically to see how many points students could rack up in different games. So we had a wide variety of games across different consoles. They played against people of varying abilities, and so we have our top 3 winners from esports last term. So in 3rd place we have Daniel Huving. Mention as well, our top 3 place getters also so kindly donated some JB Hi-Fi vouchers for those 3 students. In 2nd place, we've got Sahajot Singh. And in 1st place, we've got James Harris. So thank you very much and congratulations to all those students that participated.
Thank you, Miss, and thank you, students, and congratulations. As I said, it's a hive of activity on a Thursday afternoon. And on that note, I will just talk a little bit about sport. As you know, we're in our 2nd rotation of sport for this term. And can I just ask to make sure that this Thursday, everyone promptly gets to all the locations they need to. And if you're going off-site, particularly tennis, and touch football, that you meet at the allocated times so you get the most opportunities at sport. When you come back, it'll be a hot afternoon, I anticipate tomorrow, so slushies will be on sale again for $1. We'll do our best to facilitate everyone getting an opportunity to get that refreshment at the end of the day. And the money raised for that goes to one of our charity organisations. So your money does go to a good cause. And I really thank students for their participation and cooperation in sport. It was great. I got out to tennis last week, and I think one of the comments someone made was, this tennis is a good game. Yeah, and it is a great game, and it's an opportunity for you to participate in an activity that maybe you haven't had a chance to before. We've got some great coaches. They've seen Mr. Blomfield on the tennis court as a demon. He was doing some really good work, introducing people to forehands and backhands when I was out at the tennis courts as well. But as I said, it's an opportunity for you. And I'm really pleased to announce that next year in 2021, Thursday sport will remain a permanent fixture at the college. We'll continue to offer a range of activities. The activities for 2021 will come out shortly, and we'll ask students to make a choice. Can I please ask you to make a prompt choice? Because we actually allocate resources and hire outdoor coaches, people coming in to support us in particular areas based on the choices that you make. So once we take those, it's very hard for us to then make a change, because we've actually allocated X number of coaches and actually hired people for that. So when you put your hand up for an activity, then come and say, look, I'd like to change because I want to do basket weaving instead of playing Monopoly. It's a bit more complicated than that because we actually have to make financial commitments around that. So that's part of the reason why we can't change. Secondly, the other thing is that sporting activity becomes a legal role, and the person in charge of that needs to be able to mark you off that role. So your cooperation in being at the right place at the right time is expected, but certainly when you make your choices, please make a wise choice, because you will be allocated to an activity. We will resource that activity and source support around that based on your choice, and then makes it very hard if you then want to change, okay? Because we can't just undo some of those things. So thank you with that. I'm very excited, and obviously that lets us wear our sports uniform on a Thursday afternoon, on a Thursday to and from school as well. So again, most of you are making a really exceptional effort in being in the right uniform. Again, the expectation is that we are in the correct uniform at all times, and we'll continue to work with you on that and setting very high standards for the end of the year in 2021. The other things that have been happening around the college over the last few weeks and towards the end of the term, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about today. First of all, I just want to say a very big thank you to the staff that have been working with the Year 12s of 2021. They've had their retreat over the last couple of days, and it's been an amazing opportunity to see the students stepping up into their leadership role in their final year, because whilst we have formal leadership positions in school captains and house captains and formation leaders, everyone in Year 12 has a leadership role. And to see the students, young men and women, transitioning into those roles and coming together as a united group has been wonderful. And I thank you to the staff that spent the last couple of days with them. You see a photo in there of Cockatoo Island. They went out to Cockatoo Island. It was quite warm, I was told. I did try to argue it was hotter back here at school, but we had air conditioning comfort, and Miss Stowe's laughing at me because they did not have air conditioning. It was quite a warm day. But thank you for that. An exceptional day. It was a very long day. And yesterday, the Year 12 21s were down at Granville Centre, again, working on a number of aspects of leadership, but particularly focused on the Christ-centred nature of our life here at the community and what it means to be faith-filled and understand your spirituality and your role as a young man and woman in our society and as leaders of our community. So thank you to the team. I won't name everyone in that team. They know who they are, but amazing work. And as I said to the Year 12 of 2021 last night, the greatest gift that we have in our community is each other. And I'm so pleased of the staff that were working with them and leading them through the day. It was fantastic. A couple of things, just a little bit for your information. We've been doing a lot of planning. As you'll know, this year we've been slowly improving facilities, trying to improve some learning spaces. We've done some more air conditioning, replacing furniture. We've softened some of the areas with some artificial grass and created that Year 12 area. So, that's been great. We also have a lot of plans for 2021. Some of them will impact the beginning of the year. But just a couple of things that are major projects, just so you're aware. We have been given a grant and some support to redo the senior toilet block. So we'll be looking at upgrading that facility to bring that up to date, to make a better facility for everyone to be able to utilise in that. We are looking at developing a pastoral space to support the work of the house coordinators and the pastoral team next year. So that project will be underway. Hopefully, probably won't be finished by the beginning of the year, but hopefully we'll see the fruition of that in the first half of the year as well. Obviously, we get more furniture coming, and we want to make sure that the way that you learn in the classroom is supported by the furniture we have to use. So there's some upgrades to some of those spaces. Can I please ask you to respect the spaces and the furniture? I've always had an expectation that when you go into a space, whether it be a park or someone's home or you're visiting a classroom, that you leave that space as you find it. So it starts off clean, neat and tidy in a certain way. If we use that space and make use of it, we put it back to how we found it. And that's the expectation at the college. And we'll continue to work with you in your role as learners to understand how we look after that space and make the things that we get last and are available for others. So please, work with us on that and respect the facilities in the space. As part of that, you'll be aware, I've asked that we don't have food in classrooms. So please, no food going into classrooms, and anything that needs to go into a bin goes into a bin outside the classroom. It should be paper only. As part of that, we're going to be putting new bins in classrooms over the next few weeks, and they will be a blue bin, and they will be for paper only. There will be new bins outside. You probably may have realised, but you may not. We've actually changed cleaners. We have a new cleaning contract that we have cleaners come in at different times of the day. They are supporting to make sure that the spaces are clean and safe for you to be able to use, and I ask for you to use that as well. So if you put something on the floor, make sure you take that with you and it leaves the classroom with you. It's not there. It's not the cleaner's job to pick up all your bits of paper, but they will make sure that the space is neat and tidy based on what we do and how we leave it for them. So there will be new bins coming in the playgrounds. They will be colour-coded for recyclable or landfill bins, so we can make that easier. I know it's hard at the moment, and I really do thank you for your efforts of making sure you put the right rubbish in the right bin, but we'll work on making that a little bit easier. This is our home during the day. This is our space, so we need to look after it so everyone can participate safely, and on the whole, we do that really well. So those changes will come in, and I ask you to really think about your role as a steward in terms of that for the college. Can you just change? Okay, just I showed this slide a couple of weeks ago, just in terms of the importance of education and all the things that we've talked about today. All the focus on graduation, understanding the journey, the pathways to success, are all about providing you with the best opportunity to be successful after school. And again, in terms of what we're seeing in the globe at the moment, the changes in the world, and particularly the US, whilst there's probably not as much media at the moment around the US election, it is really important that we are well educated and informed. So when we make decisions, we understand the impact of those decisions. And I say thank you very much for can I say thank you very much for your support and participation. Remember those little things that we always remind about: uniform, about haircuts, about chewing gum. But most of all, when someone asks you to do something, that you respond appropriately and you respond with respectfully. It's not our place to argue about every little thing. If you're asked to do something reasonable by an adult, the expectation is that you will do that, and do that with kindness and respect, because that respect is returned to you. And I just say, it has been a magnificent term in light of what's happening across the globe. We're very fortunate to be here together, and I would really ask you just to focus on your studies and finish the term well. God bless, and thank you.